when my wife of 18 years, Sarah, texted me at 3 a.m. local time in the Persian Gulf. My shift on the oil rig had just ended. My hands, still greasy, trembled as I read the message. "I'm leaving you for my 25-year-old boyfriend and taking all our money." My heart stopped. I watched as a second message appeared, a screenshot of our joint bank account, which should have had $142,000, but now showed a zero balance. She even included a kiss emoji, as if this was some sort of joke. My name is Marcus Thompson, I'm 52, and for the past 27 years, I've worked on oil platforms all over the world. For nearly 2 decades, I had complete trust in Sarah. I sent every paycheck home, believing she was securing our future while I risked my life on these floating metal cities, thousands of miles away. The betrayal felt like a physical blow. I didn't break my phone or punch a wall. Instead, from my cramped bunk that I share with 2 other riggers, I simply typed, "Sure, good luck." Then I turned my phone off and went to shower, my mind already racing. Sarah didn't know that 8 years earlier, after a colleague lost everything in a messy divorce, I spoke with my cousin Derek, an accountant in Houston. He helped me establish a fail-safe plan we called Protocol Winter, which I hoped I would never have to use. The next morning, I sent Derek a single email, "Time to activate Protocol Winter." 3 minutes later, his reply came, "Already on it. Don't respond to anything until you're stateside." I still had 2 weeks left on this rotation, 2 more weeks of 12-hour shifts in 110-degree heat while the life I thought I had fell apart back home. What Sarah was unaware of was that for 8 years, I had been discreetly transferring 70% of my earnings into a holding company called Winterite Holdings. This was a legally declared account for taxes, but was completely separate from our marital assets due to the corporate structure Derek had designed. The balance in the account was $1.6 million. When I finally arrived back in Houston, Derek met me at the airport with a folder of documents and a grim look. "She's been calling your regular number nonstop," he said as we walked to his car. "The bank froze the account after her massive transfer and is requesting you come in person to verify it." But that wasn't the most shocking revelation. Derek handed me his tablet and showed me text messages between Sarah and Dee, her boyfriend. My blood ran cold as I read about their plans for a new life, their jokes about me working while they spent my money, and the details of the Palm Springs house they had already put a deposit on. Then I saw the exchange that changed everything. "Sarah, bank froze money. Need Marcus to verify in person. What do we do?" "Dee, he's still on the rig for 10 more days. Tell him there's an emergency with your mom." "Sarah, he's not answering my calls." "Dee, try harder. We need that money before the house closing next week, or we need to look at Plan B." "Sarah, I'm not comfortable with Plan B." "Dee, it's just insurance money. He works a dangerous job for a reason. People have accidents all the time." My hands went cold. These weren't just cheating partners. They were discussing my death as a business transaction. "These are admissible in court," Derek said quietly. "She used your Apple account to set up a new phone last year and never changed the password. Everything syncs to your cloud storage." We went directly to my lawyer, Thomas's office. He had already prepared divorce papers, a criminal complaint for forgery, and an emergency motion to freeze all assets. But there was a complication. "She filed a domestic violence claim against you yesterday," Thomas said. "She's claiming she left because of ongoing emotional abuse and financial control, and that she was in fear for her safety." "That's impossible," I said. "I've been 6,000 miles away for 7 weeks." "It doesn't matter," Thomas replied. "It's a tactic. Her lawyer is pushing for an emergency hearing tomorrow to get a restraining order and exclusive use of the house." The rage that had been building inside me solidified into something colder and more calculated. Sarah thought she was playing chess, but she had no idea I had been preparing for this exact scenario for years. They had overlooked one crucial detail. Thomas smiled as he slid a document across the desk. "Motion to dismiss domestic violence claim with evidence of perjury. Your company's security badge shows you've been on that oil platform for 7 continuous weeks. Your passport confirms it, and I've subpoenaed your phone records, nothing suggesting arguments or threats." That night, I stayed at Derek's place and slept better than I had in weeks. The next morning, I accessed a security camera feed for a house, a system I had installed 3 years ago and maintained remotely. Sarah had either forgotten about it or assumed I couldn't access it from overseas. The footage showed a young man lounging by our pool, drinking from my whiskey collection, and wearing what looked like my old college sweatshirt. He was on the phone, laughing, with his feet up on the outdoor furniture I had built by hand. Then Sarah came into frame, looking anxious and pacing as she talked. Clearly, things weren't going according to their plan. Derek had spent the night digging deeper into her boyfriend's background, and what he found was chilling. His name is Devin Forrester, and he'd done this 3 times before. The pattern was always the same. He meets a married woman. A relationship develops. The woman leaves her husband and takes whatever money she can. They move away together, and within 18 months, he disappears with whatever is left. The screen showed news articles and court records. 3 women over 5 years, all financially ruined. One was still paying off credit card debt that Devin had accumulated in her name. "There's more," Derek said quietly. He was briefly a person of interest in the death of his second girlfriend's ex-husband. There was a suspicious car accident 6 weeks after the divorce filing. The man went off a cliff on a road he'd driven for 20 years. My phone rang. It was Sarah again. I let it go to voicemail and played it on speaker. "Marcus, please. I need you to call the bank." Her voice cracked, sounding like genuine tears. "There's been a misunderstanding with our account. I was just moving money to a safer investment like we talked about, but the bank froze everything. I can't access any funds. Please call them and tell them it's okay. I'm really scared." We never discussed any such thing. The performance was convincing. I might have believed her 2 weeks ago. The emergency hearing was that afternoon. Judge Winters presided, and she had 0 tolerance for false domestic violence claims. Thomas presented my documented alibi and the bank records. When the judge reached the messages discussing Plan B and insurance money, she stopped reading and looked directly at Sarah.